part of our program is not only to provide sport for all throughout Trinidad and Tobago, but everyone knows that football is the #1 sport in Trinidad and Tobago, and World Cup 2014, especially being hosted in Brazil, is a serious issue. So serious is it that the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, gave me an instruction last year, I believe it was in October, that we were to support our football soccer warriors as they are Brazil bound to the hilt as much as was necessary. As you would understand, certain things had to be put in place first with regards to accountability, transparency, to ensure that we get value for money. So it took some time, but I must commend the TTFF for listening to the concerns of the ministry and the government and installing an authorization committee consisting of some of the most qualified, respected members of society in finance, in accounts, in marketing, in event management, in planning, to run and to account for the funds that your government, the People's Partnership government, is going to put into football to get us Brazil bound 2014. This is the first time.
We are not fearful of any backlash. I also don't wish to say that I don't believe him, but we have to act on the basis of evidence. But his conviction was not overturned on the merits. It was overturned on the basis of juror misconduct, so that the credibility and reliability of the evidence led against him at trial was not in any way undermined. And the Jamaican Court of Appeal, who decided not to order a retrial, did so on public policy considerations, and their decision in no way affected the creditworthiness or reliability of the evidence led at trial. So,
the Anil Roberts LifeSport case, timeline, legal arguments and outcome. Background and events. In 2012, under the People's Partnership government, then Minister of Sport Anil Roberts launched the LifeSport Programme, a bold initiative meant to uplift at-risk youth and steer them away from crime. But what began with hope and promise quickly spiraled into one of Trinidad and Tobago's most painful national scandals. LifeSport didn't just collapse, it crumbled under the weight of corruption, criminal infiltration, and horrifying mismanagement. Over 2 short years, the program hemorrhaged nearly $400 million in public funds, money meant to save lives, instead lost to what police sources linked to a surge in gang-related murders. Lives were lost. Trust was shattered. And the people paid the ultimate price. In July 2014, the scandal erupted into full view. An explosive audit by the Ministry of Finance's Central Audit Committee, CAC, exposed deep cracks. Unapproved payments, ghost participants, and shocking breaches of financial protocols. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar had no choice but to shut down LifeSport. The findings were so grave, so damning, that the report was laid in Parliament. Shortly after, Anil Roberts resigned in disgrace and disappeared from public life. Legal proceedings and arguments. Judicial review of the audit report. But the story didn't end there. In a stunning legal twist, in November 2014, Ashwin Creed, then Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sport, and 3 LifeSport directors fought back. They filed for judicial review, challenging the audit report's legality and the very process used to expose the scandal. Their core argument? They weren't given a fair shot. They claimed they were ambushed, never informed of adverse findings before the report went public. Their right to natural justice was violated, they were silenced before they could speak. The audit committee overstepped its bounds and shattered their legitimate expectations. High Court ruling. On October 24, 2016, the High Court sided with them. Justice Myra Dinama delivered a painful blow, not to the allegations themselves, but to the process by which they were aired. Her ruling thundered. The Central Audit Committee comprising the defendants infringed the claimant's right to natural justice in relation to the conduct of the audit into the LifeSport Programme. The failure to specifically inform the claimants before the making and/or publishing of the audit report was done in breach of the claimant's right to be heard and/or is procedurally unfair. The court quashed the audit report, declaring it fatally flawed because those named were denied a fair hearing. The state was ordered to pay legal costs. It was a procedural triumph, but not a moral one. Aftermath and misconceptions about vindication. Political and public reaction. Anil Roberts emerged from the shadows, fists raised, claiming vindication. At UNC rallies and press briefings, he boomed that the judgment proved his innocence, that the scandal was nothing more than a political witch hunt. Kamla Persad-Bisessa stood by him, suggesting the judgment cleared the way for his return to public life. But what was the truth? Attorney General's clarification. Then Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi gave the public a sobering reminder: this ruling was not an acquittal. It did not clear anyone of wrongdoing. It did not declare anyone innocent. It simply said the audit process was flawed, that people weren't given a chance to defend themselves before being named. The judgment didn't erase the allegations, it couldn't touch them. They remained raw and unresolved in the hands of the police. There was nothing in the law of the judgment to block criminal probes. The substance of the allegations are there. They're very actionable and they are with the respective authorities and are being acted upon. Deja explains the events and legal outcome. Let's cut through the noise. The LifeSport scandal wasn't about a man being found innocent in a courtroom. It was about a broken system, a betrayal of public trust, and lives endangered by a program that spiraled out of control. The High Court didn't say Anil Roberts was innocent. It said the report accusing him was published without due process, that it was unfair to drop such bombshells without giving him a chance to respond. That's not vindication. That's a technicality. Roberts and his allies may have spun it as a legal victory. But it was not a moral one. The police probe continued. The allegations of corruption, criminal connections, and public funds gone missing remained intact. The Attorney General made it clear the fight for justice was far from over. Conclusion. The LifeSport case wasn't about exoneration. It was about procedural fairness. Yes, the audit report was quashed, but not because the allegations were false. It was because the accused weren't given a voice before the public judgment. Let no one twist that into innocence. Anil Roberts' so-called vindication was a smokescreen, a distraction from the core issue. $400 million of taxpayers' money vanished under his watch. Communities still bear the scars. Families still grieve lives lost in the violence the program was said to fuel. And to this day, justice for the people remains painfully unfinished.
National Security Minister Stuart Young has yet another concern, this time about the presence of former Sport Minister Anil Roberts at UNC meetings. At a press conference on Wednesday, the minister said there's credible information that Mr. Roberts has aligned himself with gang members from the East-West corridor and believes his reappearance is meant to affect the outcome of local government elections.
I am cautioning that it appears as though there is a plan to utilize the criminal elements in our society to influence the outcome of voting in the local government election.
Minister Roberts was spotted at recent UNC political meetings.
The opposition leader says as far as she is aware, UNC Senator Anil Roberts is not under any police investigation. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, commenting on Roberts' appointment this week, claimed that the senator who oversaw the controversial LifeSport program and is still engaging police attention found favor with Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bisessa. But speaking to reporters during the ceremonial opening of Parliament on Friday, the opposition leader said Mr. Roberts was never implicated in any investigation.
entire audit report. There was nothing in that audit report which made any allegations against Anil Roberts or found him guilty of any such behavior. There was a court matter. It was not Anil Roberts who brought the court matter. The court matter was brought by Ashwin Creed, I think, the PS, challenging the validity of a report that was not based on natural justice. So Anil Roberts was nowhere implicated in the report itself, nor did Anil Roberts have to go to court.
This Prasad Basesa adds that she has no knowledge of any of her members being under investigation and questioned whether any government members are.
Of any of the senators on the investigation. I'm not aware of any of the House members on, I don't know. Those are police matters, and unless there is hard evidence of any wrongdoing, we'll deal with it. There are other members of the House who are on the investigation as well. In the same way, you could say that my members are on the investigation. How do you know that members of the other side are not on the investigation? How do we know that?
The UNC leader says if there is any such investigation of any member of parliament, then that is a matter to engage the attention of the police.
But his conviction was not overturned on the merits. It was overturned on the basis of juror misconduct, so that the credibility and reliability of the evidence led against him at trial was not in any way undermined. And the Jamaican Court of Appeal, who decided not to order a retrial, did so on public policy considerations, and their decision in no way affected the creditworthiness or reliability of the evidence led at trial. So,
Government has moved a motion of privilege against UNC Senator Anil Roberts for statements he made in the public domain against President of the Senate, Christine Kangaloo. The motion was brought by Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Franklin Cann, on Tuesday. He said during a broadcast of the program Douglas Politics, Senator Roberts used satirical subtext to allege that in the discharge of her duties as presiding officer, the President of the Senate is biased towards him. Senator Cann said there are respectable and dignified ways to challenge the rule of the Senate and the decisions of the chair. He said Senator Roberts has brought the Senate as a whole into public ridicule.
I submit that the Senator has committed a most egregious contempt of this esteemed Senate. And in this regard, Madam President, I move that this matter be referred to the Committee of Privileges for investigation and report. I beg to move.
The Senate President referred the matter for the consideration of the Vice President of the Senate. Last week, Senator Roberts was put out of the Senate after he was asked to apologize for comments he made in the chamber.